I'm very happy to just reconnect with my good friend Lane, who was responsible for actually convincing me about going to my first DevCon many years ago. And the theory of this, or the topic of the conversation for this session is digital democracy, and you're living in Taiwan, which is the most avant-garde country in terms of digital democracy because of all of the work Audrey Tang and many of her friends have done over the years. So how have you been? Let's have our friend conversation on stage.
For context here, Santi and I have been friends for 8 years, maybe going on 9 years now. I think we met in 2017 in New York.
Let's round it up in 10.
Yeah, okay. Rounds up to 10. And as he mentioned, I helped bring Santi into the Ethereum community, but what happened before that was that Santi brought me into the Bitcoin community, so I have you to thank for that. You're my Bitcoin prophet, always will be.
Ethereum prophet.
And I haven't seen you in about 3 years, I think.
It's been a while, yeah.
So we're actually going to be catching up on stage.
Yeah.
And also in proper cypherpunk fashion, I'm purely privacy preserving. I'm not even on the agenda, so.
This is all by design. You're a zero knowledge proof right there.
So, by way of background, I'm Lane. I'm a zero knowledge proof. I was an Ethereum core developer from 2017 to 2019, so starting shortly after you and I met. I left Ethereum to build a layer 1 blockchain called Space Mesh for about 5-6 years after that, 2019 until last year. And then, I don't even know if you know, because it's been a while since I caught up, but...
This is the last thing you told me over
so
chat.
late last year, I joined the Near Foundation. So I'm now head of research at Near.
Nice.
And I'm focused on the intersection of governance and AI, which I know are things that you've been thinking a lot about, so hopefully
that's a big deal.
A lot of relevance
I'm
there.
eager
Yeah.
to actually interview you.
But hold on. For context, I mean, I can do the intro, but introduce yourself. Tell folks here a little bit about your background, about the hacktivism, about your book.
Yeah. Well, more recently, I've been more focused on AI, so I got a little bit away from the Web3 crypto world. So I'm eager to get a very nice update on this DevConnect this year. But I've been researching extensively AI and governance. Governance has been the common thread among...
You didn't even know when you asked me to join the panel that I'm working on the same thing, so...
Oh, no, I work for the spy agency, so I already knew. And it's whether we will govern AI or AI will govern us, I think it's like one of the main questions that we're facing today. It's a big challenge. Alignment with super AI or with artificial general intelligence. There are many challenges that we're facing. It always comes to my mind this Peter Thiel quote that says, artificial intelligence is totalitarian, crypto is libertarian. And I suspect that the cure to properly bring some good governance into the world of AI and at the same time to bring some good practices into the world of crypto is kind of finding this common ground between these two great technologies of our time.
And it's interesting, because if you look back at the 20th century, one way to frame geopolitics in the 20th century was as a battle between capitalism and communism. That played out on a global scale. And so I'm beginning to wonder if, totalitarianism versus libertarianism framed as AI versus crypto, Balaji talks a lot about this, right? But is that the stage that's being set for the 21st century kind of political battle, do you think?
It's interesting. We talk about this in Argentina, where Milei is the president.
Okay, yeah, hold on. Let's pause for 1 second. So, in case it wasn't obvious, Santi is Argentinian.
Yeah, I'm
right?
Argentinian. Guilty as charged.
Yeah, and I mean, you were honestly one of the first people ever to really understand the potential of Bitcoin. That's certainly what I learned from you in the early days. And you were friends with what's his name? The Zappo guy, right?
The Wences.
Yeah, Wences,
Casares.
right? So,
He's a legend here.
And so I think we need to take just a second before we dig into just the AI, kind of governance, crypto stuff, and just appreciate that we're in Argentina, where so much of this started.
We're in Argentina.
And by the way, this is the first time I've seen you in Argentina ever.
Fuck?
I know. And you guys have been waiting. You guys have been waiting a decade for this, right?
Argentina.
No. Argentina.
Argentina. That's how we get the attention of the people in the back. Dude, it's insane to me. Like, I've been following this tribe for the last 10 years, just like because of you. And in Bogota, in Osaka, in Prague, in Berlin, in London.
We knew we'd eventually be here, but it
And now
took a while.
Everyone is here. It's such a big honor.
What is it? I mean, it's an important question. What does it mean to you? What does it mean to the local community here?
No, it's amazing. I've been just almost teary watching on Twitter, like all of the tourists arriving to Buenos Aires. There's like now, there are now, oh my God, Herb, come here. Join us, talking about tourists arriving. Grab a chair, yes.
The panel is growing,
Grab a chair. He just got detained at the airport, by the way, but we won't tell why.
It's true.
So this is Herb Stevens, my co-founder of Democracy Earth Foundation.
Good to see you. Oh, yeah, good to see you.
Also an OG. Lane, Herb. You two are like the main responsible people that got me into this mess. So it's awesome that the very first talk that I give during this week is with you two. It's like it's the proper, in a serendipitous way, very proper. Clearly, it's a simulation. This had to happen.
What are we talking about?
Democracy, AI, crypto, and Argentina. Argentina has Milei as a president.
Let's talk about that.
And we figured, okay, this is a libertarian guy, but with totalitarian tendencies. So it's the mix of the two. It's kind of like a weird, maybe not, maybe time will tell, but he's like a sign of the times. Like people, the young generations here really voted for him. They really wanted someone that said, fuck the state, fuck bureaucracy. And
very similar to what happened in New York a few days ago with Mamdani, I think.
Mamdani is like the other side of the coin. Interesting times to be building technology. Herb, why don't you introduce yourself? Tell us what you've been working on, Time DAO, what are you thinking?
Yeah.
You're jet lagged.
I'm really jet lagged. I just landed from Lisbon like 2 hours ago. So, yeah.
I'm also very jet lagged,
Oh,
so you're probably the only one here who's not, so good luck.
I went to the Oasis concert yesterday. And
How was it?
I'm not that young anymore, but my friends were. So we went really, really close to the stage, and everyone jumps like crazy, and my whole back hurts. But anyway.
You're getting a little old for that, son.
Yeah, and you're older than me, but you look younger now.
I'm a little better shape.
So, yeah. You know, 2 babies, it's difficult. So what are you working on these days? You're in Lisbon.
I'm in Lisbon. I'm working on a new stable coin, actually. A new stable coin that's based in time, actually. Time is one of the best assets, and it hasn't been monetized. We're actually going to be creating this week something called the Time DAO.
Hold your mic a little closer to you.
Something called the Time DAO that enables people to actually work, mint a coin, and it's actually backed by the labor payment of the stable coin. So stay tuned. We've got a lot of building to do this week, but we're pretty far already. And you know, at least all the AI says we're onto something.
First time in Argentina for you? No, you came before.
Third time, I think.
To Patagonia and your mountaineering adventures.
Yeah, climbing over in,
awesome.
in Chile. Yeah.
So, how are things in Taiwan? You moved there.
Yeah, earlier this year. I mean, the primary motivation was actually, my wife is Chinese, so sending our son to school was actually like the primary motivation. But I guess we could have chosen mainland China or Hong Kong or Singapore or other places, and yeah, that was a factor. I think is I want to contribute to the movement that's happening there. I haven't had a chance to go super deep yet, but yeah, I mean, maybe for context, like people here aren't totally aware of kind of who Audrey Tang is or kind of like what the movement is. She was part of a political movement called the Sunflower Rebellion that happened 7-8 years ago in Taiwan, something like that, which was a movement on the part of Taiwanese youth to kind of like lobby the government to be more accountable and more answerable to their needs at the time, basically. And one of the outcomes of this movement, it was a very peaceful kind of movement. And again, she was one of the kind of like leaders or student leaders of the organization. Was that she ended up becoming Taiwan's first digital minister.
Yeah, that's in 2015,
Was
2016.
that Audrey Tang?
Audrey, yeah.
Audrey
And then
Tang.
just recently, earlier this year, she is no longer the digital minister. She now is an advisor or something. So she's kind
She
of
came
changed role recently.
to Argentina last year, and she met with the government, but the government cannot say that publicly. I'm saying that.
But yeah, so anyway, long story short, Taiwan has this really energetic kind of movement that spearheaded by Audrey and other contributors where they have a digital ministry, they have open data standards. You've seen this, a good concrete example of what happened in Taiwan was during COVID, right? There were shortages of PPE, of protective equipment, of COVID vaccines, things like this in Taiwan as there were elsewhere. And this kind of group of young hackers kind of came together and built this online system using the government tools that Audrey had put in place to crowdsource like availability of vaccines and PPE and things like that. 5-minute warning?
5-minute warning.
Okay. Anyway, so yeah, a lot of exciting things happening in Taiwan.
Amazing. What's your view? I'm curious. You mentioned you're working on AI governance from the perspective of NEAR and what you're building now with Space Mesh. What challenges do you identify when we look at AI and what can you give us any hope?
Yeah, I mean, look, AI is. I'm trying to keep this brief. AI is obviously extraordinarily high potential. I think we can all agree about that. I think there are challenges both in governance of AI and governance by AI. And we're kind of focused on both of those, right? So we're more focused on governance by AI, which sounds a little dystopian. But I think actually blockchains are the right place to do this experimentation. I like to say that blockchains, we have a lot at stake, right? The NEAR ecosystem is worth multiple billions of dollars, but we have no hospitals, we have no airplanes. The stakes are high enough, but they're not super high. I don't think we should be governing city-states or nation-states using AI tools just yet.
Like Albania announced an AI minister.
So we kind of want to do something like that. I don't know enough about Albania. Maybe their economy is similar size to NEAR. It's probably larger, but...
It seems AI would be much better at governance than humans are.
Well, this is the idea. So the optimistic side, right? So the thing that gives us hope is that I think we can also all agree humans are shitty governors, right? We self-deal, we are selfish, we are lazy, we're easily corruptible, we go to sleep and get sick, and we're not always on top of everything that's going on. AI doesn't have any of those issues. So theoretically, AI should be a better governor than any human. What are the challenges? Most AI is very centralized today. We don't know what goes into the models. This is one of the things that we're focused on at NEAR is verifiable model training. Right?
Wow.
So I guess the short answer, again, I know we're short on time. The short answer is in order to build things at the top of the stack like AI governance, you need a lot of enabling infrastructure. I think I don't want to sound too much like a NEAR shill, but we're doing this. There's a reason NEAR is doing this, right? Because we have this infrastructure. We have confidential, end-to-end encrypted AI inference engines. Everything is run in decentralized clouds, and nothing is touching an Anthropic backend or a OpenAI background. And then also, like I said, that we're working on verifiable model training, so you know exactly what went into the model, and there's no sleeper agents if you're familiar with that idea, or any kind of stuff like that in the model.
I'd like to share a little bit of you might remember this well, the Proof of Humanity DAO.
I remember that one.
You remember the proof? Yeah, I ran into some Kleros folks and former members of the original Proof of Humanity DAO, which was, to me, the most exciting democratic experiment that happened in Web3. Most of the Web3 DAOs are plutocratic. It's coin voting, token voting. But Proof of Humanity was the one exception where we had one person, one vote. And we had all kinds of attacks, like in terms of trying to capture power. There were 2 super delegates that had most of the delegations. It was Clement from Kleros and myself. You remember those days?
Oh, there was a bit of a war there, if I remember correctly.
There was a war. The last
always every crypto project ends in a war.
It was a fucking war. And Clement started farming delegations in Myanmar, which was evil and genius, Machiavellian at the same time.
Fun fact, the previous attempt to build a decentralized governance system for NIR, the exact same thing happened. We had a proof of humanity, and people were farming identities in Ukraine and other places.
Yeah,
so there you go, it's inevitable.
Farming identities in the third world is like the Web3 exploit by excellence for getting control of a DAO. We ended up implementing, from a game theoretic point of view, a very interesting idea, which was we took Glenn Wiles' quadratic voting idea, and we started computing the delegations using the square root. So that meant that I lost a lot of power, but Clement lost a lot of power also. And the argumentation was, in order to incentivize you to delegate to people with few delegations rather than to delegate with whales, a quadratic voting formula made a lot of sense. So we kind of invented quadratic delegations for that. And well, what ended up happening is that Kleros forked it away and they made their layer 2 version of the protocol, which is fine, completely fine. But it was an exciting experiment on the like hyper democracy, very high stakes, 2 factions fighting for power. It was really exciting. A year later, after all this mess on like talking with Esteban Ordano from Decentraland, which he's around.
He's around. I saw him today too. Yeah.
Esteban is the living legend. He's our Vitalik. Esteban is the Argentine Vitalik. Have no doubt about it. And Esteban, actually, like 3 or 4 years ago, he built a prototype that was very similar to today what we would describe as Cursor or Lovable or V0, which was let's use AI for coding. And the argument that Esteban gave me is that the problem with Web3 communities is that only very few people can actually write code. Most of the community, the users and the members of the DAO, they cannot write code, so they're they can suggest ideas, they can make contributions, but the code is ultimately being executed and written by the developer class. And that's the thing that actually was the core of the problem of the Proof of Humanity DAO. The users actually won a lot of the votes, but the coders, most of them from Kleros, were in disagreement with the revolt of the users. And we had this gridlock where implementation of the changes was not really possible. So looking into the future of Web3 and DAOs, if we end up with software, and I think that this is right next to the corner, like being able to build full stack applications or eventually protocols or eventually even new AIs using nothing but prompts and coding, we abstract away from coding. Prompting is a very democratic skill. Like anyone knows how to speak English. Anyone knows how to speak in human language. So eventually Web3 communities, and this was the vision of Esteban Ordano, like let's build coding tools with prompting using AI so Web3 communities can also participate in the design and in the development process of a protocol. And I thought that was mind-blowing. Today, that's the present of the tech industry. Like the big players now, Lovable, V0, all of these vibe coding tools are actually a huge opportunity for Web3 ecosystems to implement this technology in order to democratize the decisions, the development of in a near future. So that's how I see AI kind of like as a democratizing force. Then who runs the AI, on what hardware, on what infrastructure? I
think it's a great optimistic vision.
Yeah, I'm always optimistic.
I think we're basically out of time. Any final thoughts we want to take home?
Final thoughts of my jet lag partner.
Final thoughts. I'm going to do a lot of building this week, so
awesome.
I'm looking forward to some sleep and some building.
Awesome. Final thoughts. Thanks, everyone, for coming to Argentina. Buenos Aires is the most awesome city in the world. Be ready for the most insane week of your lives. This city never sleeps.
I noticed that, and as a New Yorker, I was impressed too. Like I think Buenos Aires has a good claim to being the city that never sleeps.
We beat the shit out of New York, man. You're gonna see that.
To be fair, you left New York for Buenos Aires, basically.
I came back. I can't leave it anymore. Anyway, final thoughts.
I think I was very inspired by the early talks this morning. I don't know if you had a chance to catch Kurt Opsahl or Roman or any of the first few folks, but the way, or Peter Van Valkenburg as well, I think we are at a fork in the road, and it's very easy to meme it, almost like the button meme, sweating, like which button do I press, the centralized AI, the decentralized AI. I think the potential is enormous. I think it's important that we remain optimistic. That's something that Peter talked about in his talk this morning, but remain wary and remain vigil, which is something that Stallman talked about.
Yeah.
Be very cautious about who owns your data, about exactly what you touched upon at the end, like the governance piece of the puzzle, right? Because if we're not in the driver's seat as a community, then we are the product at the end of the day. So I think we need to be optimistic about the brave new world future that AI is going to bring, but at the same time, just have a very honest conversation about how to build these systems in a more humane way.
Amazing. Well, thank you. Thank you for joining me without notice on the panel, my friends. Welcome to DevConnect. Thanks everyone. The next panel is awesome. So stay for the next panel. Very smart folks from Argentina will be talking as well. So, yeah.
Muchas gracias.